Sounds Type Radio, the indie spot.
This shit right here is exclusive, and I do this for everybody. I don't care where you at or who you are. This is for you. Let's go.
You fellas, man, on this good day, get a 4-day weekend, so nice. I can't complain.
Nice. And a 4-day weekend it is, man. We gonna have some fun this weekend. Hopefully the family's doing well. You know, it's always good to see you, man. Tell everybody, the Sounds Type family says hello, right?
Sure.
Absolutely. So Dr. Fetti Fever is on the line with us. How you feeling, man?
What up? Feeling good, man. Feeling good.
Nice.
Making progress, manifesting.
Nice. This is gonna be a good one. Brother Sly is on the line. How you feeling, Brother Sly?
What it do? I'm good, man. It's just trials and tribulations. I was trying to buy cars today, man, but I didn't get the approval, man. So I'm gonna go stick them up tomorrow. So we'll see about that.
Ride with you.
It's good. And Pastor Warren's on the line again, joining us for episode 3. How you doing, Pastor?
I'm good. How y'all doing, man?
Good, sir.
We're good. Absolutely. Good. And we have a special guest on the line. Brother Corey K is on the line with us tonight. How you feeling, Corey?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. One day at a time, man. One day at a time.
Nice. And we're gonna welcome you into the show. I want to bring it in and kind of give you like a brief introduction. Tell the people a little bit about yourself, your background. We'll keep it brief, because we're gonna have your thoughts and your dialogue later on. But just give people a quick introduction.
How you guys doing? My name is Corey. Born and raised in Chicago. Joined the military like around age 19, 2011. Got out 2017, and it's been a blue collar working man ever since. So just taking one day at a time, and glad to get out with no issues. Never had any issues in the service, and just here to provide a unique perspective.
Nice. That's and thank you for your service, brother. Like 100%.
Yeah.
We salute you and thank you for that.
Not at all.
Nice. So my man just kind of kicked it off, saluting for his service. It happened, people. NFL comes out and says they're going to do the Black national anthem before every football game, and they're kicking it off with the first game of the season. I want to do a round table. Just jump in here with me. How do you guys feel about that?
Was it every game or just the first week? I heard it was the first week.
First week.
Week one. Yeah.
Week one.
Yeah.
Week one. I have a feeling it's going to trickle to every week. But, yeah, it is starting with – so my bad. My apologies. It is starting with week one.
Yeah. It's whatever, man. I mean, all this support, and it's a good look. I'm not against any of the support from wherever it's coming from. But my opinion is, like, we still don't have what we've been asking for. You know what I'm saying? And that's pretty much, better laws that focus on better policing, So, but, I'll take this. I'll take it.
I'll take it as well. I'll take it as well, man, because, I can do without it, to be honest, but I'll take it as well, man, because you got to think about the people that's actually in that business, man. That their job day to day, man, is to go out there and play ball. I think this is a way for them to say, you know what, we push them into doing something, and it also keeps them continuously making money, because I think once the season actually started, they was going to get a lot of pushback. Some players wasn't going to do what they were supposed to do, and there was going to be some more. So I think this coming out and them saying that they're going to do the Black national anthem is going to actually, step to something, man. There's a lot of people out there that don't know a lot about it. Like this Mark Levy guy, whoever he is. I guess he's a news reporter or analyst or whatever the case may be. He said he didn't even know that America had 2 national anthems, a black one and a white one. But whatever the case may be, screw the NFL.
Yeah, man. I just think it's just like kneeling with the kente cloth. It's like, hey, nobody asked you to do that. No one. First of all, that's what we're talking about, is just the black community coming together. And the black community came together and was like, okay, we choose Lift Every Voice and Sing as our Black national anthem. And my thing is like, there was no leadership, that had the final say on that. Maybe everybody don't like that song.
Right.
I remember I had to sing it in kindergarten on stage. So I remember it. It's a great choice. But my thing is, as far as a community, we didn't come together and collectively decide on that. It was just a part of the problem. So it's just like, you got a homeless dude and you keep giving him burgers every day. okay, I appreciate the burgers, bro, but I want some cash at the end of the day. That's what you got to give the people what they're asking for.
I get. I
No.
see. I see Dr. Five in the background. He's not too sure about this. What are your thoughts on this?
You know what? It's disrespectful. One, the fact that you have athletes out there in these contracts, right? They've been complaining about the contracts, and now you're gonna tell them, all right, we need y'all to go back and play because we're gonna stand and lose money if not, and then we're gonna give y'all a song. So not only are you gonna get on the field and tap dance, you're gonna sing while you're gonna sing before you tap dance now. So from that perspective, it's disrespectful. And then when you look at the words of the song, it adds insult to injury because the song is about hope for a better tomorrow. Well, tomorrow came and all we still have is hope.
Right.
Like nothing has changed with the exception of we no longer have to live on the plantations. We work on one. Right? We don't live on plantations no more. We work on them. And then we go home with whatever pay we get off the plantation. And then that's what we have to survive off of. So it's a slap in the face. I don't think that if you really black, right, niggas, watch all the football you want. If you consider yourself a real nigga, hey, watch football. Do the thing, sing the national anthem, do the whole dancing thing. But black folks need to just boycott all athletic sports. And until we have our own league, right, the Negro Baseball League, Negro Basketball League, Negro Football League, until those leagues come back, the Drew League or what have we, till those leagues come back, I wouldn't even entertain it. I wouldn't tweet, I wouldn't Instagram, I wouldn't Snapchat, no response to this. I'll let them go day one and the stands be empty or full of Confederates.
Yep.
So it's safe to say you don't have a favorite football team.
You know what? I used to rock with the Ray Lewis Ravens,
The Ravens.
but then he let me down with his Republican statement. So, after he retired. So you're right. I don't have a football team.
I had to ask that. Pastor One, I want you to jump in here on this because I see you concerned in the corner. What are your thoughts on this?
As the weeks have unfolded and shown us that there are a lot more with us than used to be. The diversity of it all gives me pause that because our families are diverse, we can't just go on the black tip. We can't just stay solely black anymore. The Black National Anthem has some things in it that the white America needs to hear. They need to hear. And though the time has come for a dramatic change, we know that without a plan, it's going to go away.
Yep.
So it's a part of a plan. There's a lot more to it than what meets the eye. By us singing a song, then let us give a verse to Kaepernick. Let us give a verse to Kaepernick.
Add a verse to the song.
We'll add a verse to it.
I like that.
Yeah.
Because Kaepernick needs to be on the field. It does no good. And if we're going to play football this season, then I'm with you on the boycott. But the boycott should be that if we're going to play, then Kaepernick should play. And if he doesn't play, then we all should just simply boycott all of it. To hell with it, because that he's the one who told us, 4 or 5 years ago, wake up. This is bigger than just simply taking a knee. We're not against the flag. We're against what the flag represents. It has never been equality. America never been great for black people. I can't pick a time when America's been great for black people. So from that standpoint, I don't disagree with the song, but I disagree with the message of the song. If that's all we're gonna do is sing a song.
Yeah.
We no longer want to just simply entertain white folk. It's more to us than just entertainment.
Right. And I just want to piggyback on what he said. I feel like it's also a slippery slope because if it comes down to it, you're going to have the national anthem, Canadian national anthem, you're going to have black national anthem, and then a couple years go by, LGBT, they want their national anthem.
Right.
And Latino culture, they're going to want their national anthem because Latino players on the field, right? Okay, then. So you tell me then it's just going to be, we're going to have 45 minutes of national anthems before we start playing the actual games, So
yeah, I do agree that America's trying too hard to play into everybody's favor. We can't continue to do that. We have to find some sort of a solution. And I'm looking forward to the song being sung. I'm looking forward to the song being sung. I'm looking forward to the reaction, because right now we just don't know where it's going to go. What's going to happen?
Let me ask you this. Say they do play the Black National Anthem, right? And they got a bunch of, what do you call them, conservatives or whoever, left or right, whoever they are, the Trump supporters. What if they decide to, okay, now we get a chance. Now let's take a knee when they play a Black National Anthem. Let's stand up.
That's fine.
The national anthem.
That's
okay.
exactly what
I'm just saying. As long as everybody knows it's coming, because it's coming.
Yeah. You know, my thing is what it is. I agree with Fetti, you know, to a certain extent, but it's tough, because if we walk around saying every time they say that they're in agreement with what we are trying to put out there, that we protested and then we shut it down, then we giving up a lot of what we helped build. You know, the NFL wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for us.
Come on.
They started the league, but we made the league popular.
Come on.
We made it better. So if we say we're going to shut our TVs off, we not only shutting our TVs off to these rich owners, we're shutting the TV off to these people that work day to day. This is their job. So we can't just walk away from something that we helped build. How you help build something and say, you know what, screw it. I'm going to walk away from y'all. We're going to start ours anew. And you keep your money.
But we help build everything, though. We build everything, and everything is like that. So what's the difference?
Tell them to go watch the old NFL game.
Right. The issue, yeah, exactly, like they doing during COVID, right? Go watch the old stuff. They own the rights to all that footage. The reason why I'm saying that we should be pro-Black league is because the only reason why the Negro leagues don't exist is because of discrimination and racism. They didn't get the airtime, right? They didn't get the airtime. They couldn't play in the stadiums. And so we're back to that now. You won't get the airtime. You won't be able to have access to the stadiums. It's still discrimination. So you can play sports as long as you play on our fields on our terms.
Right.
Right? That's the real issue. Singing the national anthem is a slap in the face. Who are you appeasing? Right. These dudes still got to go and play for owners, for racist owners, for racist teams, in racist stadiums, in racist cities, in front of racist fans. So you tap dancing, and you're not even tap dancing, you stripping, because they throwing money at you while you dancing.
Nothing.
You stripping.
So what I'm looking to see is...
But you got to think in terms of, where do you have other opportunities to make that kind of money?
You're not making no money. At the end of the day, when you do the breakdown, they only get 30% of their money.
What I'm saying is, at the end of the day, where else do they have opportunities to make that kind of money? Would have exert that kind of influence?
Go to college.
No, sir. That's not the opportunities. Not there.
Colleges are gonna get you that type of
okay,
finance.
so let's do the math. Let's do the math. You play 7 years, you get 30% of your money, right? You signed a $10 million deal. You signed a $10 million deal. You play 7 years. That's $21 million, right? Everything you got to do with that $21 million is cash. It's cash. $21 million for the rest of your life. You start playing at, let's call it 24, 23, 24 years old. You done by the time you're 30. You
got to have that financial responsibility at that age, too.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. At 21, with $21 million by the 7th year, right? If you healthy all 7 years and you don't get injured, that has to last you at least 40 years.
How many of you guys made $1 million a year?
That's not $1 million a year, though. That's what I'm saying.
That's the point I'm trying to make, Tyrone. That's the point I'm trying to make.
My pocket's inside out.
That's the point I'm trying to make. There's very limited opportunities to make that kind of money.
True.
What we have to do is come up with a plan for what we're going to do when we get that kind of money. We can't just take the money and buy cars and houses and restaurants. We can't just take the money and do that. We have to take the money collectively. If we're going to build a nation, we're going to take that money and collectively, we're going to be LeBron and Magic together with Shaq with that $400, $500, $800 million, and we're going to put that money together, and then we can take and build our nation.
So then you You just
we
dug us
don't
back
first
into
get
the
that
hole.
money.
You just
gotta
got us
first be able
right
to get
back
the
into the
money.
hole with the same amount of money. Like with that. So you got Magic, you have Shaq, you got LeBron James. All of them took the money they have and dumped it right into the rabbit hole. The rabbit hole is that blacks are consumers. The only way that they're
That's
able
what I'm
to
saying. We got to come up with a plan, though, Tyrone. That's my thing.
hold on. The only way that they're able to take their money and do something what we've deemed as positive and good for the community is to invest it back into entertainment.
That's not what I'm talking about.
That's what's happening.
So what about
That's not what I'm talking about.
what about LeBron taking his money and putting it and opening that school? That's not
A
in the
school,
rabbit hole.
exactly.
That school is a charter school. That school is a charter school. It's not a private school. It's a charter school. It's governed by the same institutions that govern the schools that we don't want to send our kids to, that are not teaching our kids what they need to learn. So they're still going there and having to learn those core standards.
Not true.
But when you
That
think
is
about
true.
it, though, the money that most of these athletes are making, they're putting it back into systems that generate the amount of revenue that they've been privileged to witness, to be successful from. So they're putting it back into the same systems, and they're creating more black-owned movie situations, black-owned record labels. They're still entertaining, because at the end of the day, let's just be real. Entertainment is going to always be the most grossing.
Profitable.
Bill Cosby gave his money to Morehouse and Spelman.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. Bill Cosby gave his money to Morehouse and Spelman.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't go and start a record company. He didn't go and open up a nightclub or a bar. He gave his money to black Ivy League school institutions.
Uh-huh.
Right? You can't say the same for LeBron, and you can't say the same for Magic and all of the other entertainers. Nothing against them and what they're doing. What they're doing is great for their families and setting that standard for black excellence from an athletic perspective, right? But at the end of the day, Magic Johnson's firm is ran by Jews.
Yes.
That's not
LeBron
James. That's kind of smart though. I mean, technically using the minorities to you know what I'm saying?
It's consuming. So instead of spending your black dollars on white franchises, spend your black dollars on a black franchise.
Okay,
on a franchise with a black face.
But that's the point I'm trying to make. We have to rewrite the narrative, because we haven't had an opportunity like this in the history of us, to where all of these people who have the money, who have the ideas, can come together and say, look, we're going to do something for us. We're gonna stop investing in Disneyland. We're gonna stop investing in Starbucks. What we're gonna do, we have our own brands.
Right.
We have our own brands of people. We have enough minds out there. The people that are black, the people of color, I should say, have enough ideas where to say that we're gonna separate the country,
you can't do that.
United States.
I was just gonna ask.
You already have it. It already exists.
Our families are too diverse, man. Our families are too diverse.
And I understand.
What are you gonna tell your biracial nephews and nieces? What are you gonna tell them?
I understand that. You got to pick a side. You got to pick a side.
Okay, so
you have to pick a side.
What we're trying to do here is, we definitely, as a community, as a black community, we have to bring in unity. We have to strengthen our unity, right? We have to strengthen our success. We have to invest into our communities to build that type of wealth. To where we can compete around the world, like the Chinese, like the Latin, cultures do. But overall, the idea is to connect the dots. We can't leave everything segregated. We can't. We've been there before. It didn't work. It doesn't work.
And at the same time, that makes us no better than them if we do.
Exactly.
Okay,
now we're just turning the tide.
So wait a minute. So help me understand. All right, help me understand. Nothing exists and comes to fruition and is popular unless you put a black face on it.
Right. Hold
on. Yet, by telling blacks to put their faces on their own is racist.
No. It's not about that. It's not about telling them to put their faces on their own. It's about separating it from only support. You can't only support, because at the end of the day, when you look in terms of blackface, you say put blackface on something, everybody supports it, everybody's still supporting it. Regardless of how much money they're making off of it, regardless of what the individuals are going through behind the scenes making this money, they're still supporting it.
Yeah, but
you can't take it away.
When I say black owned, I'm not excluding white investment. See, with the NFL, how many black owned football teams are there?
0.
None. When Jay-Z said he owned or had part ownership in the Nets, he owned 1%.
Yeah.
So he wasn't even a black owner. So you can't say, oh, it's wrong to have a black football league, and the current football league is all white owned.
No,
we're
not getting about the ownership. We're talking about the support. You need everybody to support it. You need a multitude of races, a multitude of cultures. I don't want to say race.
Blacks stop showing up to NFL games. They shut it down.
I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, and they were asking about what do black people think about, say we get, I don't know, 25 states, or you cut us 25 states, you know. Segregation, I don't know if you want to call it that. You can come and go as you please, but what if you just give black people a region, like the Southeast region, from Virginia to, I don't know, East Texas down to Florida? Like that's our region now. Do you think that was something that we could?
So I'll give you guys a little insight. I'm working on this research, right? This research right now be rolled out for information purposes. Some people will be able to apply it, those that are interested. But here's what these are government statistics, right? Over 90% of the blacks in this country live in 10 states. And in those 10 states, you know exactly which 10 cities they live in. You can name them, right? So when they have initiatives and they push agendas, they push it to these same 10 areas, right? 7 of them are in the South. So when you talk about isolating and give us 25 states, well, technically we got 6.5, 7 already, right? With no power. With no power.
Blacks,
90% of the blacks live in 10 states in this country.
Damn,
over 90% of the blacks in this country live in 10 states.
That's crazy.
And in those 10 states, they only live in 1 or 2 cities.
Yeah, we're very, very small, condensed areas.
So, for example, California, LA and Oakland, right? New York, Brooklyn, right? That kind of stuff. And so when you look at those types of statistics, and yeah, you're going to get a lot of people saying we can't divide it. You can't have a black this and white that. I'm not saying exclusion. I'm talking about ownership, because you can't have economics without ownership. And right now we have no economics, and consumption is not an economy.
Right. I agree. From an ownership standpoint, I definitely 100% agree with that. I think we took a left turn somewhere when it got down to not supporting the others, but expecting the support to come our way. I think everybody has to support each other, and that's pretty much where we are. We kind of jumped across the spectrum on this, because I definitely want to touch on this a little bit later into the show. But I'm glad we're here now. I'm glad we're here, because it's something that we have a continuation of conversation with in all of our episodes. And you know, the urban economic development. We have to discuss this, because people need to see it. People need to hear about it. You say the majority of black people live in 10 states. What are we doing with and in the cities that we inhabit? How successful are we there in those areas? So how do we expect to expand if we can't be as predominantly successful in our own communities?
Because economics is racist, and that's the whole point. Economics is racist. Money and finances are racist. They've been racist since we stepped foot off those ships.
Look at who going on your dollar.
Right.
Come on now.
Right. Your income is determined and dictated by someone. Your income, our income, is determined and dictated by someone. What we can do with the income that we have is determined and dictated by someone. We just named 3 big names. We just named LeBron James, Magic Johnson, and I forget the other person, right? And their money goes right back into entertainment. It's dictated. If they wanted to go and start a political party, done, assassination. If they wanted to go and open up a new university, roadblocks. If they wanted to go and buy their own broadcast network to control the media, fifth phase of nation building, they be in prison for sexual assault.
Let me ask you
I think
this.
That's
So-
something to think
so-
about. Here's what I want to do. Because we're getting deep and we're getting definitely down to the nitty gritty. As usual, we got some folks listening in, so I definitely want to take a step back, regroup, refresh, reallocate our thoughts, rehydrate, like I always say. Southside Radio, we are back. We are back in the building. Man, oh man. That first session was hot. It was kind of hot. So if you're out there tuning in, bear with us, brace yourself, because it's definitely getting hot in here. We're talking about subjects that's been on our minds. Since youth, and for some of us, for a lot longer than that. So let's jump back into it. Urban economic development. What are we doing in our communities? We are predominantly the mass in 10 states, and we're still struggling. Talking to Corey introduced himself. He said he's from Chicago. In an area like Chicago, how do we rebuild in Chicago?
It hurts, man, honestly, because even this past Father's Day, we had so many shootings, so many shootings and deaths. And Chicago it's regional. It's definitely West Side and South Side. So when those things happen, most of the time it's just crossing the paths, you know what I'm saying? Somebody being in the wrong place, the wrong time, and the wrong hour, and then things just happen. A lot of people out there just looking for opportunities. A lot of people out there, just like me, when I was growing up, I was bored, nothing to do. They made like a community center, but I was already a junior in high school. I was about to be out the door. So I think Chicago, example, they need a lot more centers and resources where kids can have something to do, you know what I'm saying? Instead of just being outside. Like whenever you see kids popping Roman fireworks at each other, like that's what we did when I was a kid. That's what I come from Chicago. That's kid behavior. That's what we did when we were like 13, 14, because the only fireworks that parents let you have was Roman candles. So part of that, it just comes down to just respecting each other and respecting the space and coming together as a community at the end. As corny as it sounds, coming together as a community, understanding like, hey, we're all minorities at the end of the day. We find something bigger than this.
Right. I agree. And all of us come from deep-rooted urban backgrounds, right? We're all from Watts, we're from Compton. And when you think of our upbringing, some of that stuff was fun, right? But in certain areas, in certain aspects of our neighborhoods, there was still a desire to change the narrative, like we always say. There was still a desire to make it out of, we call it making out of the hood, where you're not raising your next generation, your offspring in the same communities. I think it hurts sometimes, right? Because I remember having so much fun, even though the circumstances weren't the best, right? But I remember having so much fun, growing up in the Nickerson Gardens, being able to go to the Imperial Courts or the Jordan Downs and hang out and have a basketball game and have similar conversation with like-minded individuals who had the desire to get up out of the hood, but also love their city. When you lose control of that desire, I think that puts us to where we are now with cities like Chicago and, even Atlanta, even certain aspects of our sides of Alabama, where we have that. But I want to turn the tie to Pastor Warren, speaking of Alabama, as a man who ministers to the youth, and as far as like gang intervention or just putting them on the right path. How do you feel about reaching the youth in this urban economic development?
It's always been an economic situation. You look at the 10 cities in which we are predominantly, where Black people predominantly live, and they're impoverished cities. It's always been about economics. And so that's why my main thing right now, my focus is on trying to get those who have the monies to come together and let's formulate a plan. Because it does us no good to go to a segregated city, we segregate ourselves and we still have the same problems, the same struggle. We're gonna, we don't, as odd as it sounds, socialism for Black people is not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
We have to teach ourselves, re-educate ourselves how to make money. The stock market is not bad if you know how to use it.
Right, right.
White people are not evil. All of them are not evil. You got a lot of them that we need to learn how to work with them to get to where we're trying to go, because they have the means of how we can do it. Now, we have been afforded education but we're not really geared towards helping each other. We're more geared towards, I'm moving out of the hood, making a better life for my family. We're still trying to assimilate when we should be trying to help each other to change to change the dynamics of our communities. You know, to take away the narrative of it, you know, it's kind of sad, but if you see where every place where MLK Boulevard is or MLK Junior Street is, it's a terrible neighborhood.
Yes.
Yeah.
Terrible neighborhood. I'm talking about across the country. So we have to change that. We have to say, you know what? In this hour, what we're going to do is we're going to take a phrase from Malcolm, by any means necessary. But we're also going to take a phrase from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. too. It's not that we just want to be, we want reparations. We want what we're due. We want more than just to be compensated. We want to be not only acknowledged, but we want to be given what we do. We're due status of ownership. You get America owes us. America owes us. We built the country.
Yep.
We built the country with free labor, not just from being enslaved, but after that, all the way up until the 1960s, we're still being incarcerated, still being forced to work tobacco farms and cotton fields, still being forced, and it was legal. So our thing is now as they, United States gave the Japanese and the Chinese $20,000 per family that was impacted by being in the internment camps. They did that for them. They have never done anything for Black people.
Right.
Never done anything for Black people. So from the standpoint of why I bring out athletics is that those guys with the big monies, those guys with the big check, if we can get all of them on one page with the Oprahs of the world, with the Magic Johnsons of the world, with those that have those millions of dollars, and say, listen, we're trying to do something for our people, not just entertain and make a movie. We're done with making movies. We're done with, bringing out, new music, man. It's a lot deeper than that, man.
Like they have access to the resources. They have deep-rooted access to the resources. I agree. I 100% feel that. So Brother Compton, Brother Sly, jump on in here with me, because I see you guys on the backside. Like, man, I agree, I disagree. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, when it's all said and done, man, especially with just the way economics rolls in America, man, with inflation rate and this, that, and the other, I feel like the pastor's right. Black people need a little bit of socialism in order to get back right. You know what I mean? And the way that the capitalist system is built right now doesn't benefit us. And it doesn't benefit us in many ways. One way being equity, things like that. There's a lot of Black people that don't know how to work their credit whatsoever. You know what I mean? I just got denied on a dealership today because I'm one of those Black people who don't know how to work their credit, right? So the education hits home. And these are things that white parents and white families are teaching their kids that we aren't learning. So the system is I don't think the system's racist, man, but I think the system, it's overdue for us to take advantage of their system that they built. And hopefully we can get a little help from white people, because that's where we're going to have to get the help from. You know what I mean? When it's all said and done, you know what I mean? Because I'm not into segregation or anything like that either. I don't think Black people all need to be in one spot in America. I think the America is perfect the way it is, with the exception of a few things, man. And,
yes.
Yeah, and the few things that I disagree with are the way the laws are ran, and the way that Black people are treated financially. You know what I mean? And this goes beyond redlining and bank loan denies and things like that. It goes all the way down to the hiring process. You know what I mean? I'm blessed to have a white sounding name, Sylvester, but the homie, Laquan may not have all the opportunities that I have.
Luxury, right?
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So my application will still get through the application piles while Laquan, my first peak, is getting thrown away. And I've seen it. I've worked in positions where I've seen managers not even give people a chance simply because of their name. So
or your zip code.
Or your zip code, or exactly, or where you're from.
Have you ever on job applications? Have you ever put Have you ever not put your race?
That doesn't matter, because the way Black people are structured, us as a people, we have to be identified by our Blackness, no matter where we go.
No. I mean, when you fill out job applications, do you skip out on that? Because sometimes they have you could pick which race you are. Sometimes they have that you don't have to answer.
I think it's the pride in being proud to be Black. I think your pride will not allow you to avoid checking that box.
Exactly, and
ain't no fear in it.
Well, I mean, regardless of the box is there or not, because you don't have to select the box. If they're gonna hire you regardless if you select the box or not. They want you to select the box because then they can keep up with their quota. Okay, I got 10 happy niggas and I got 10 or 20 Mexicans or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that's exactly what the box for, because they have a quota, just like police have a quota when they're out looking for, you know what I'm saying, niggas, or or whatever, right? Everyone, it's all about numbers. But I mean, technically, man, if I'm qualified, I shouldn't have to check the box. But at the same time, America's ran off statistics. You know what I'm saying? Those statistics help determine who's really getting hired. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I check the box. You know what I'm saying? Because nigga, count me in, because I'm a nigga that's out here getting it.
Goddamn.
You know what I mean?
And
So I check the box.
Compton on the cuz. Go ahead and jump in this double dutch. I know you.
You know what? It's different for me, man. I'm not viewing it in that way, because I feel like I don't feel that we all that perfect. I don't feel like the dynamic of the world is all that perfect. My reality is I'd rather you be honest, and I'm gonna be straight up with you. If I put my name, I got a weird name. My real name is Terrace. They already know I'm not white. But my thing is, when I pull up, right, I still got an interview. So you still gonna see me. But I'd rather you say you don't want me straight up. Don't take me because I'm a number. Just don't take me. I don't want to be wanted by somebody that don't want me. And that's how I view it. I agree with a lot of what Fetti's saying, but I also agree with the pastor. We can't split it apart because we already built it. But at the same time, we don't have to split it apart. We'll let you in. You get what I'm saying? We just want to be able to say that we built this up for us.
Right. Now
we can run it the way we want to run it, and we can teach you how to run it right. We're not going to do as we've been done. And the problem with a lot of stuff is it's exactly what it is. I grew up for a long time, man, in nothing but what they consider the ghettos or the urban communities or the hoods or whatever the case may be. You taught to get your stuff together and get out. My fear is that once we get our own, we're going to be back on the same boat. Yeah. We're going to be back on the same boat. We trying to get out of the Watts. We trying to get out of the Comptons.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And it's going to be the exact same thing, because what the white folks are going to actually do once we do that, they just going to try to outdo us. And it's not that they bad or whatever the case may be. It's just that their mind state is they just don't want you to get the upper hand. So we got to steadily pull it together ourselves and make sure that what we do for our own communities makes us happy. See, we don't need to go somewhere else if we have everything we need in our own communities making us happy.
I think a lot of that is fear induced too. Like their fear what's going to happen. I think white people think that they think black people are trying to get revenge by overtaking everything, and that's not what it is. That's why I heard. That's why I love the video. I seen this lady.
We just won't be let alone.
Leave me. That's what James Baldwin said. Leave me alone, bro. I don't want no problems. I just thank God we asking for reparations and not revenge. You know what I'm saying? And just like Brother Sly said, like we do need some white people, and that's the only silver lining I see with Trump being in office, because it set such a precedent and it exposed the ones who are with us and the ones that are not
against us.
Yes.
Yeah. We definitely need white people.
This is one thing that I will jump in and say this with Trump, and you guys might hate me for it. He's transparent. He's doing things like Corey just said that's causing people to expose themselves. There was a comment that he made about Juneteenth, right? And I'll go back a couple of weeks to this, but he can make this comment about he made Juneteenth popular, and everybody was up in arms like, how dare you? This has been around for years. But you know what? Juneteenth was
You're
not
right.
acknowledged until he decided to do something.
You're right.
So in his own way, he made it popular.
Right.
So I think if we can not be as sensitive as we've been in the past years, there's some things that we can learn from what's going on right now that will help us progress. Dr. Fox.
Can I jump in and add a little something on that, man? Honestly, man, I don't like Trump, bro. I don't like Trump, man, for personal reasons, man. But when it's all said and done, man, he might go down as one of the greatest presidents, man, because a lot of this change and reform has happened, unfortunately, under his regime.
Yep.
And it's not because a lot of it is because of there's so much resistance to what he represents. And because there's so much resistance, they have to change, they have to reform, right? But when it's all said and done, he's going to take credit for all that. 100 years from now,
Yes.
they're going to be like, oh, yeah, he made Juneteenth popular, and he helped the civil rights movement finally end. He gave niggas $1,200, and you know what I'm saying? He exposed the fake news. Nigga, I'm telling you, bro, they're going to treat him like how they going to make Tupac white. I'm telling you, bro, they're going to treat him just like that, bro.
I'm gonna be real with you. If it wasn't no sunlight, you wouldn't know it was dark.
God damn
If
it.
wasn't an idiot out here saying stuff, man, then you wouldn't know when you got an intelligent conversation going on. And that's all he doing.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? We give him a lot of props for a lot of things, and I'll give you that, man. He did do a lot of stupid things, man, to get things seen. But was that his plan? No, his plan was to hurt.
No, it wasn't.
His plan was to hurt. It just flipped on him because we truly rule the world. He made comments. We took it. We flipped it. We showed you as an idiot, and now you answer.
There is a God, the meek shall inherit.
So I wanna go through this data, man. We talk about how the United States is diverse, right? Yet it's 50 states and we live in 10. The majority of us live in 10, right? I'll name them off: Illinois, New York, Chicago, North Carolina, South Carolina, that Virginia, Nova, DC area, Maryland, Georgia, Florida, and I'm leaving one out. All right.
Texas.
That's 20%. And we're not even in the entire state. We're only in certain cities. If I say Georgia, you automatically know we're talking about Atlanta.
Right.
If I say North Carolina, you automatically know we're talking about Raleigh and Charlotte, right? So you talk about DC is an anomaly because it's not a state.
It's a
right?
region. DMV.
Yeah, it's a district of the United States, right?
Yeah,
And so you go there, but then all of this economics and diversity and all that's cool, but the real issue goes all the way back to the Constitution, Article 1, Section 2. 3/5 of a man, and it doesn't say that blacks are 3/5 of a man. It says that every free person counts as one, and an Indian that's not paying taxes, right, counts as 0, and then everybody else is 3/5.
Right.
So when you look at the data, and you want to talk about work, jobs, income, right? Blacks make 40% less than whites, period.
Yeah,
right.
That's
when you do
equality for sure.
Break that down. That's 3/5, right? That 3/5 originally had nothing to do with income, right? Because blacks wasn't getting hired anyway. It had everything to do with power and the balance of powers in this country. That 3/5 versus that one count, that that 1 point for every free citizen of the United States equates to a representative in the House of Representatives. So that means for every 2 black people, per the math, you get 1 person in the House of Representatives. For every 1 black person, 1 white person, you get 1, right, person in the House of Representatives. All of the decisions are made there. So when you want to talk about rights and laws and rules and all that kind of stuff, it happens there. It was written in Article 1 of the Constitution. And so unless we're talking about going and changing the rules, the Bible of this country, the Constitution of this country, then we'll be having these conversations. Our grandkids, great-grandkids will be having the same conversation because the Bible of the United States, the Constitution, says that everything that they're doing is right, and they just need to appease us so that we don't go public and they can just calm us down.
This is one thing we talked about in the military all the time. I guess as far as like can't I guess put an appeal. You call an appeal on the Bible. You know what I'm saying? That's something otherworldly, that's spiritual. That's a whole other thing. I feel like, hey man, the Constitution was written by a bunch of dudes. And guess what? We can probably put up an appeal or reform. We're not living like that no more. Like what they were talking about.
Right.
We are living like that.
No, but I'm saying they
we
were
are.
those dudes were so unique that wrote that. They were thinking so far ahead. You know, so I give them credit for that. But I'm saying is now, hey, they didn't have laptops. They didn't have Zoom. They didn't have all this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
They didn't have
go in there.
AR-15s.
They didn't have AR-15.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They didn't have gas-powered rifles. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have semi-auto. They didn't have all this stuff. So we can go in there. Hey, let's make a reprimand. Let's put an appeal right here. You know what I'm saying? Then let's publish it out. Obviously, people are they call it patriotism. People who are addicted and stuck to the first version of the Constitution and the first version of the flag, and they want the Confederate flag, and they want all these original historic things, and it's just like, bro, we're past that now. Like we're not living like a 1776 anymore. Right,
right.
So think of that. 1776 was a long time ago, bro.
Right, and
all those dudes are gone.
And I'll add this as well, right? Speaking of, all of this culminates to, it was written to despise us, because when you look at the British American Revolution, right? The British promised blacks freedom in Canada, and if they won, we would get freedom here and land rights and that whole thing, right? They lost. The South said those niggas almost made us lose this country. Some of us ran to Canada. Canada has a lot of black folks. Some of us ran to Canada. It was like, hey, you know what? They lost the war. Y'all still owe us our freedom because we helped y'all. They went to Canada. The rest of us got trapped and stuck here. And so this Constitution, these rules that we living under now, are as a result of us helping the enemy at the time. So we're getting retaliated against. And I would say after 250 years, right? After 250 years, we've been retaliated against enough. So let us be, y'all won the war. We did what we did. Some of us may say our bad. Some of us may say, I wish they would have won, or y'all would have lost, or however you want to say it. But it comes down to that. They have to get over it and let us be, because this country is beautiful and it has a lot of opportunities. Right. And everyone else has been able, every minority, because I don't consider blacks minorities, because blacks are of the original fabric of this country. So I can't use black and minority in the same sentence and in the same context. But every minority has been able to come here and flourish. Right. Blacks have been here before every other minority and are in the same position that they were in 1776.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that we don't think about, this is all public information.
Yeah.
All the laws, all the constitutional rights, this is all public information. We have to understand it. And it's similar to, we bring up the Bible in this conversation. It's similar to the Bible. You can't just go out there and read a couple verses of the Bible and think, okay, I know how to live now. You have to really understand it. And if you don't, that's the beauty of having a church to go to. Having a pastor, having a minister go into the interpretation of what this Bible means. I mean, I remember growing up reading the Bible, getting confused, and going to church, and then some of those same verses that I was confused about, having a pastor speak on it. And it's like, oh, that's what I've been thinking. I mean, that's what I didn't understand. That's what I didn't interpret. So if you don't understand it, at least have a conversation with someone who does. But it's public information. We have to educate ourselves.
Yeah, but that brings up the fact of the covered up history. We teach a lot in schools. You get what I'm saying? But they don't teach the covered up history.
I wouldn't even say that it's covered up. Me personally, I have no problem with what they're teaching in schools, right? The problem that I have is it doesn't apply to everyone. That's every kid that's in the classroom. And so it's being taught from one perspective, is one dimensional. And so as a black kid in the history class, social studies class, you're the slave.
Right.
So all your little white buddies, is like, hey, dang.
We're going to do the play.
Yeah, you had nooses around your neck.
You already got your part.
That dude hanging from that tree look like you. What role are you going to play in the play? Like you nigga Jim in Huckleberry Finn.
That's where I disagree at. because before the Mayflower, we existed.
Right.
Before we were enslaved, we had our own place. We had our own land. But the black people in America are the only people, really the only people in America that don't have a native country, because we don't know what tribe we came from.
Mm-hmm.
With the continent of Africa being so vast. So we really can't really say, that the education system is fair. It's not fair.
I can tell
and
you.
it is where we have to re-educate.
Right.
Because there's been terrorism in the United States. We just found out about Tulsa, Oklahoma. But how many of you guys know about the massacre of East St. Louis or the massacre in Arkansas in 1917? We don't even understand it. To begin to understand the racism and the overt laws that were totally against black people rising up. We were shot and whipped for being 5 black folk getting together. There were laws where it said we couldn't congregate. There were vagrancy laws. We go to jail. So a lot of that has to be retaught. A lot of it has to come out. And this narrative that we have right now, we have an opportunity to re-educate America on the plight of black people. Why is it that in our neighborhoods, we have a proportionate number of black people dying from COVID-19? Why is that? Why is it that in our neighborhoods that diabetes and heart disease are so prevalent? Why is that? Well, we're only 16% of the country, but we're almost 75% of the prison population. Why is that?
Because it's easy to put a McDonald's on the corner.
Let's bring it current, right? People talk about Black Wall Street. You have Tulsa, you have Baltimore, you have St. Louis, you have them all spread all across this country, right? But the last Black Wall Street was Libya. Last Black Wall Street was Libya.
But Libya is in Africa, man. Got it.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Last Black Wall Street was in Libya. It was an independent economy. It was black owned, black ran, black governed, black operated. It was flourishing. It was successful. No matter how their government was running the country, because governments have, the autonomy to run their countries how they see fit. It was a beautiful place, right? When it refused to participate in the global economy, it was bombed. No different than the stories of the Black Wall Streets that existed here, with the exception is that one was bigger, richer, and more powerful.
Right. And they burned it down.
And so I say that to say that nothing's changed. The strategy still is what it is. It is what it's been.
You can go back even with the Black Panther Party, bro. They did the same thing to them.
We can go back to there, but again, that was in the 60s, 70s. We talking 2011.
All right.
Well, well, now you're tapping into New World Order, one world government. So
same strategy. It was an independent economy. They ran their own country the way that they saw fit. Didn't want to participate in the global economy.
Well, the same thing happened to Gaddafi too.
That is Gaddafi.
And,
that's Gaddafi.
Yeah. In Libya.
With the African dollar. Yeah,
they got rid of him.
Yep.
Got rid of him. The country. The country don't look nothing like it did when he was there.
Oh no.
Nothing like the country he built.
Not at all.
Tulsa didn't look nothing like the Greenwood estates that they built. Nothing. St. Louis looks nothing like the St. Louis that existed. Baltimore is by far, in my opinion, the worst example of that strategy to bring down black economies. The worst example. You drive through Baltimore right now, and I showed you, and you put up pictures on the internet of Libya and some of those third world African countries that experienced war and apartheid. You wouldn't be able to pick Baltimore out of those pictures.
Damn.
And Baltimore looks like
man.
that today.
But that's my whole
I agree
point
with you.
of why we. That's my whole point of this. Why we have this. Why we're at the forefront of the minds of the politicians and the world leaders. We have an opportunity to change this narrative, man.
Right.
We have
we need the right people at the table. We need the right people at the table.
That's it.
And it can't be those that are. It can't be those that are enticed and that crave that dollar. It has to be those that are intellectual, that are good spirited, that are good spirited.
They've been working at it so long, man. The whole Gaddafi thing wasn't even that long ago. That's like you're talking into like this current
That's
decade.
Obama years.
You know what I'm saying?
They got
You know?
400, 500, 600 years. They've mastered that strategy.
That's what I'm saying. So like there's no talking at the table. You know, it's going to get to a point where when it comes down to it, that either the right people are going to get in play and help us out the way it's supposed to, the way that they're telling us it should be, or somebody's got to get down or lay down, because you know that's just the way it is. But as long as though their intentions are, you know what I'm saying, up front, you know what I'm saying, if they want to say, okay, black people don't want to basically take a part of our economy because it's not working for them, which is it isn't. You know what I'm saying? It's a very racist, like how you said in the beginning, which I agreed with. It is a racist system. You know what I'm saying? The way that the American U.S. central banking system is structured, and how that system spread across, you know what I'm saying, that went east. I understand about, I know everything about monetary flow, man. So when it comes down to it, I'm a scientist of this shit. But I can tell you this. It's gonna get to a point, man, where black people are gonna wake up and realize, man, that the currency that we share, regardless of whose face is on it, I don't care if how many statues get taken down or none of that shit. None of that matters. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When it's set up at the end of the day, the system itself was not in favor of us.
Yeah, that's just like Pastor Warren said. It's like like we got to control the black dollar. You got to control that black dollar.
It's already been realized. It's the structure of how we get to the movement.
Well, here's the thing, though.
Here's my last point, right? Is that with the Gaddafis of the world, right? Every time a world leader was taken down, he had a meeting in the chambers of the White House, and he had the opportunity to pretty much flip them the bird, or agree to play, right? We have never been invited to the chambers to have that conversation.
Right.
Well, and so my goal is, my play is, have that conversation at the table in the chambers get the right person, the right group of people in there to have that conversation, and not the Al Sharptons and the Jesse Jacksons. The right people at the table to have that conversation, like, hey, what you offering? Here's what it'll take. Otherwise, you flip them the bird, and then you know what happened. You take the Malcolm X approach.
Take your dollar away.
Take the Malcolm X approach by any means necessary.
Yep.
Or honestly, we can. There's a third way. There's a third way that I figured out, and it was we got it's 2020. We got cryptocurrency now. Akon trying to come up with his next dollar right now. You know what I'm saying?
That's gonna get attacked digitally. That's gonna get digitally assassinated.
You reduce yourself to cryptocurrency, it is a
well,
wrap.
here's the thing, though, man. But here's the thing, man. Just theoretically, man. If you think black people took all their money, and invested it into cryptocurrency, bro, and was like, "Fuck it, this is ours,"
and we would be on the streets.
Yes.
You're probably right.
We'd be out on our ass. Man. Like Fetti, we said it though. We said it. Episode 1, Fetti. Look, give us the respect that we deserve, and we take it by force. Okay. I feel like we talked about it so long. We got smart, educated people. Fetti alone can stand on a brick and tell you everything you need to know. But the problem with the knowledge is we ain't getting the right people to listen. So if they don't want to listen to us, then what do we do next? That's the problem. The problem is not what's going on. We can see what's going on. The problem is what we're gonna do about what is going on. That's
my whole situation is, man, we're not gonna be able to take it by force. We're not strong enough.
How?
We're gonna need help from Mexicans and white people and fucking.
That's a scary.
Maybe the Mexicans. Maybe the Mexicans.
You're right. In place.
You're right. However, remember, it's a state fight. The 11th Amendment says that the federal government is not supposed to get involved in the affairs of the states.
Right.
So
yeah, but American citizens are a part of the federal government as well.
No.
They can pick up arms as citizens.
The American citizens are citizens of their local municipalities, and then their states, and then the federal, and then the United States last.
Let me ask this.
Remember, it's your address.
I know. I'm agreeing with that.
Your city, your state, and then your country first.
Right.
Let me ask this. Hey, Fetti, let me ask this. So the government comes to you and is like, hey, bro, we're not giving y'all no reparations. But how about this? You ain't got to pay taxes no more, and your kids ain't got to pay taxes no more. That's not enough? That's not enough?
Look, if I tell you, every time I had these conversations, I put myself in their shoes. I can do that, right? Because I got to think like them. If I tell you, if I was to tell me, I'll talk to myself, right? If I'm in a position of power and I'm talking to myself and I say, you know what, I'm not giving you reparations, because that's too much damn money and I'm not giving that to you, right? But I'll allow you to not pay taxes, and then when you agree to that, I'll turn around and make sure you never have a job. So
Exactly.
that doesn't even mean anything, right? Because now you don't have a job to pay taxes.
To pay taxes, yes.
Exactly.
And on top of that, you don't have to pay taxes. So I'm gonna put you on welfare and public housing.
Exactly.
Back where we started.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
you're recycling the money back to me, right? So it's no conversation. It's either, in my opinion, I've done the math, and I think every black citizen of this country, the only amount, the most just amount, most justified amount for reparations for each black person in this country, and this is why my nieces and nephews would probably be best to pick a side, right? Is $36 million. That's how many hours of slavery per person that was contributed to this country. It's almost 42 million. It's almost 42 million blacks in this country.
Right.
The hours, the amount of hours put into slavery by the blacks that were brought to this country for those 247 years is $36 million per person.
That's irresponsible to hand out, though. But I mean, I understand what you mean.
They printed $3 trillion because of COVID.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's
true. They did.
I heard one thing they put up.
Means nothing.
It doesn't. But at the same time, like I heard them, they put up a bill for $4 trillion, and every black person would get like 300K somewhere around there. And it's like, I don't know.
That's before
300K is nice, but I don't know if that's the number though.
Can't do nothing with that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the number.
And are we responsible enough? Are we educated enough as far as how to spend the money wisely?
The majority
to invest in.
The majority
make that work.
I would say the majority is not.
I tell you what,
we got work.
Some is, and for the ones that's not, it's our responsibility to teach them. We can't always be like, oh, you know what, it's another side, and I got a couple of relatives, and they ain't good. It's our responsibility, because then we can't take the money and then say, hey, y'all didn't teach us how to do it right. Give me some more. No,
give me some more. The issue comes.
This is what I want to do, fellas.
Yeah.
You already know what time it is. I got to take step back. Because I know where we're going. I feel it. We're going to come back and we're going to continue exactly where we are right now. We're going to come back in with Dr. Fetti 5, giving us his enlightenment, his elaboration on how to spend this money, this 300K we're talking about. How do we get 36 million per person that he's proposing? Trump, I hope you're listening. I hope you're watching. You better take this to him and run it. Southside Radio, we are one. We will be right back. Southside Radio, we are back. We are back in the building. We are one. We talking about it. If you're tuning in, if you're barely tuning in, shame on you for missing most of this dialogue. But if you've already been tuning in, hopefully you enjoyed the music. We had to take a quick little break. But for the most part, let's jump back into it. Fetti 5, Dr. Fetti 5 Beaver says the only way we make this right is to give us 36 million individually for each man, each family, himself. Corey was a little bit generous. Corey said 300,000. He said 300,000 will be okay. We just got to learn how to invest. But Fetti hit us over the head. He says 36 million. We won't even need to be okay.
I'm with Fetti. I'm with Fetti now. Don't worry about me. I'm with Fetti.
We got to rebuttal. So we'll take it back. So let's jump back into this. How do we teach those who need help on how to progress with that type of? I'm not going to call it an inheritance, but with that type of reparations.
It's an inheritance because this country was built on the backs of our forefathers, on every last one of their backs, which is why it's individual and not per family, because the entire family was a slave for 240 some odd years, right? The entire family, women, children, men, the whole grandparents, everybody was a slave, right? And so when you talk about that, it's an inheritance. It's a terrible inheritance, but it's an inheritance. But the way the way we have to get over this and through this is we have to identify. Remember, we talked about those 10 states, right? If you look at rap music today, it's indicative of the mentality and the psychology of the generation. And if you look at these 10 states, right, you got North Carolina, South Carolina, that Virginia, D.C. area, Maryland, Georgia. Those are where all the rappers are coming from. And the type of rap that they're doing is not it's not beneficial to the nation.
Yeah.
It's the Pearl Hug rap.
Right. And so we have to go in and re-educate those entire states for the most part, change the dynamics of black education in those states and pull the rap music off the TV.
Yes and no. I say, for example, Little Baby, he's known for that kind of music, you know what I'm saying, not productive to the culture. But even just now, man, I think some of these guys are starting to get it, because even at the BET Awards, he had a very good song that hit on a lot of topics, and it caught me off guard. I was like,
I watched it and heard it.
Yeah.
I think artists are just like people, man. Everyone has a right to grow.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? As a person, you know what I mean? But the artists that we say aren't growing, man, I think that's us. Like, we have that power. You know what I'm saying? We're the one that kingdom, you know what I'm saying? We should be the one that shove them too. You know what I'm saying? So, but at the same time, black people don't want to hear Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole all day. Sometimes we want to hear Future and Migos. You know what I'm saying? So I get both sides.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, sometimes you got to walk it like you talk it. Shout out to the man.
Yeah, but that same media can be used to re-educate, is what I'm getting.
Yeah.
This
So
is true.
if they're willing to shift the paradigm and do things in a manner in which they can keep the sound and the tracks and all that, or what have we. But I mean, it's so the lyrics are so simple to where you can teach basic math and basic reading and fundamental literacy skills through that type of music, no problem. But they'd have to be willing to shift the paradigm. If we can do it that way, it's easy.
Right,
Otherwise, we talking about gutting the education system state by state.
Yep.
Right.
Anybody? That's the challenge.
Yeah. Anybody that watches, any viewers watching this, man, definitely go out and check out the Roots Picnic on YouTube. They have the whole thing on there. They even have individual performances. I suggest her performance was definitely I can't even put it into words.
Dope.
But that it was literally like 2 hours of just pro-black. Get out and vote. If they were talking about getting out and voting, they were talking about what's going on and with George Floyd situation. So it's back and forth between both. So I feel like we can get that on a consistent basis. There we go.
That's dope. And I appreciate you brothers having the audacity to engage in this type of dialogue, talking about economic development. I mean, this is a topic that can be continued for years on down the line, because we teaching our kids. And me, I'll put it out there. I come from an interracial marriage, right? So my kids get a chance to see three sides of the spectrum. They have an African, they have a Caucasian, and they have a Latin side of the spectrum. And then once you dissect the bloodlines and all that stuff, you probably can go through 30 more countries. But like on the surface of it, here's where we are. And to be able to have this conversation, I think it's a beautiful thing for those out there who are the outside looking in, that are in my shoes. How do I discuss this? How do I talk to my kids about this? Well, we're showing you how. And everybody else that's out there that's tuning in, maybe you're not in an interracial relationship. Maybe you don't have interracial. Maybe you don't have. I don't want to keep calling it interracial, but maybe you don't have the diversity in your family that I'm going to say, privileged to have. This is my privilege. We are the world, right? So if you don't have that in your family, maybe you're listening and using this for entertainment. Maybe you're listening and using this for education, but whatever it is, use it for that.
Yeah.
So with that said, I want to kind of reel us back in, Elijah McClain. And I hate to kind of end the show on something so somber, but I had a chance to, I didn't watch the video. I'll be honest, I haven't had a chance to watch the video, but I want to bring this to the group. There was some mental illnesses there. Was that an excuse? Was that reason? No.
I don't think so.
No.
How can Black men and women avoid these situations where when we resist, it's a threat? When everybody else resists, it's not. They get like the treatment is different. How do we avoid resisting arrest and it being a threat?
That's a tough one, man. For us to truly understand the unfortunate events that led up to his death, we got to understand what the unjust justice system thinks he done wrong. You get what I'm saying? First, what we gonna say? He was BWW.
Yeah, ski mask on.
Black while walking. That's the first thing he done wrong.
He was suspicious because he's listening to music, waving his arms around with a ski mask on. I do that all the time. I don't understand.
You gotta understand what they actually saw. And what they saw was a black dude on a black night, man, with a black mask over his face, and everything was black. And when they got out of the car, they treated it as such. And then the understanding that they can say everything was just. Everything was just. It's crazy. It's crazy, man.
True.
It's crazy, but it's not crazy to us because we see it so much, man. It's amazing how much we talk about the same thing, dude.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of people don't care. I feel like we got a lot of people that do, but there's a lot of people out there that truly don't care until it's their own. They don't want to speak until it's their own. You understand? He had the right to be whoever he was. Even the police phone call, like the call, didn't even sound like it was an issue. He said he just looked suspicious. He may be a good person or he may be a bad person. I don't know.
They said he was acting weird. He's acting weird.
Yeah. Said you get out of the car and you be aggressive. They got out of the car and acted aggressively because he didn't look like they kid. Let's just be straight up. He didn't look like them. And it's always a fearful mentality, man. And somebody said earlier, is it a revenge thing? No, man, because if we actually wanted to go out and get revenge, the type of revenge they deserve, bruh, it's different.
Here's my issue. Here's my issue. If you go and look at if you go on the internet and Google David Ware and Matt Hall, right? Two white guys get pulled over. This is in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Two white guys get pulled over by the police, and the police officers get shot. And two white dudes take off. They go and peacefully pick these dudes up and arrest them. They're in custody, right? So the fact that this was doing a routine traffic stop, they shot two cops, one of which I believe is still in critical condition. I'm not sure what's going on with the other cop. In critical condition, they go on a manhunt, find these dudes, and peacefully arrest them and take them into custody. This kid is out, and you've seen the dances that these kids do. They weird, right? This kid is out with his mask on. Now, ironically, a year later, everybody got to wear a mask, right?
Exactly.
But he's out with his mask on. He's dancing and flailing his arms or what have we, and somebody saying, hey, it's a dude that out here acting weird, and he dies in police custody, right? He dies. He gets killed by police officers. Now, I don't know my boy, Mr. Corey, he grew up in Chicago. We got Compton. You know, Brother Sly. Not sure what your background is.
He's from Watts.
I'm about to go there. I grew up in Watts. And young drug addicts used to do all kind of weird stuff in public. Never heard of one getting shot by the police. Never. And so man, it's blatant racism. It's a blatant attack on this young man. He's a target. We are all targets. Our kids, our sons, our young men are targets. And this speaks to them being targets.
With this, I feel like just me being in the military, and I was an EMT. I was an EMT for a while, a nationally registered EMT for a while too. So I think I see both sides, man. It's just it doesn't make any sense, you know. It's just the training that you do. Like, I took a lot of notes about that whole incident. It was like it doesn't add up, you know. Like, this kid was a massage therapist and a violinist, and they assumed that he was 220 plus pounds.
Right.
This kid was tiny. So, okay, Terrence, let me ask you a question real quick. When I say I'm wearing a ski mask, what do you think I'm wearing? What does it look like?
What does it look like when you're wearing a ski mask?
What is a ski mask?
something over your face. Like,
You think is the shit with the eyes and the mouth,
yeah,
or
Eyes cut out, mouth
he
cut out.
wasn't wearing that? He
He had
wasn't
on a
wearing
COVID
that.
mask. He was
He
wearing a
wasn't wearing
COVID
that.
mask
He
before
was just like
COVID.
this. Just
Yeah.
like this.
He had on a
That's
COVID
all
mask.
it was.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Had on a COVID mask.
So okay, so and I like just like you guys said, ironically, a year later we're here. But my thing is, I listened to the whole body cam, and how they got to where they were. They said, yeah, he's wearing headphones and waving his arms erratically and wearing a ski mask. One officer responds, "Oh yeah, so he's definitely on something."
right.
And like that's it.
And
That's it. That's all it takes to get EMT's call, and you giving this kid ketamine. That's all it takes.
Ketamine.
That's all it takes. When
That's
I was
crazy.
an EMT, bro, we had this lady break her. She broke her forearm, trying to grab her son because he dove off the end of a pool table. So she breaks her arm. They put her in this contraption. It's pretty much like the Chinese finger traps, and they catch her fingers, and they have a kind of device, and it winds your bicep down, and it realigns your forearm. And I remember I was standing there. My job was to keep her calm as they administer ketamine, and then she went into what it calls a K-hole. And a K-hole is that she was talking to me normal. She's talking to me 100%
You go
normal.
coma.
She started talking. Nope, she's still there. She started talking about the first time she went to Disney World and all these childish memories that she had, you know. And I was just like, oh, like whatever this drug is, I was literally standing there in amazement, like whatever this ketamine stuff is different, because she was 100% normal, and I watched her literally lose her mind talking about Disney World, and she came back and she was just like, what was I talking about? So it's ketamine is almost a horse tranquilizer, bro. It's similar to PCP. What's in PCP is what's in ketamine. You know what I mean? So, and honestly, the kid had a heart attack and passed out, you know, because they assumed he was 220 pounds and he was actually 140. Okay, so cool. So you guys didn't do your due diligence about checking his ID and see how much around what he weighed. That's what I was taught. How come you can't do the same thing?
Wow.
You know what I mean?
You shouldn't be walking around with that much of a dose of ketamine anyway. You know what I'm saying? I don't think any person, even if he was 220 pounds, he shouldn't have to get 220 pounds worth of ketamine.
He would need, if he was 220 pounds, he would need 500 milligrams of ketamine. He was 140, so he only needed like about 350. Yeah, about 350.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous the way.
And
and when you think about it, the officer got off. Somehow they found his actions justifiable, right? And then, okay, it's a year later. Had it happened today, I don't think he would have been as fortunate to get off. But it's being reinvestigated. So the case is opening back up.
Okay.
Justice is going to be served. But
okay.
how do we prevent this? I mean, I'm innocent. What do I do to prevent this? Because if I resist your arrest, I'm aggressive.
You have to have community officers that understand their customers, because the officers that are patrolling the communities now do not have any relationship. Well, I'm not going to say all of them, right? Most of the officers that are patrolling communities don't have any relationship nor understanding of the circumstances of the people that they're serving. You can't live in Beverly Hills and Calabasas and then come and be a police officer in Compton. It's not going to work out, right? You have to understand your customer. A police officer responds after the crime is committed, right? What we've seen in the last few years is police officers respond and they are the criminals.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They perpetrate the crime. And so that's really where we are. So now we have criminals patrolling the inner city streets, criminals that come down off the hills and out of the suburbs to patrol inner city streets. And so we need a new police system. We need a new police force. The community members should be able to elect people from the community that keep the peace. We got peacekeepers in every community that can stop a murder from happening before it happens.
I agree.
And the police, but we're paying the police billions of dollars a year to come and scrape up a dead body and figure out who was the shooter. That's backwards. It makes no sense.
We think about it like the police, they say to protect and serve, right? But I want to say I was watching something just as recent as yesterday. and I've been having this starting this dialogue for years. The police do not protect and serve. The police investigate. They come after a crime has been committed. Anytime the police come to your house,
they respond and figure it out.
You've already been violated.
Right.
If you need to call the police, your peace has already been unprotected.
Right. It's like when you kids, right? I'm gonna call the police on you first. That's exactly what's going on.
Even with myself, bro. Like I was in the infantry among anything else. You know what I'm saying? A lot of guys in the infantry, they get out and they go be cops.
Yeah.
So I have a buddy of mine. He's a cop in New York. You know what I'm saying? So that's why when I got out, I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. You know, I don't want to be in that. I don't want to be a dickhead to people. I don't want to be the guy, you know what I'm saying, telling you can't come over here because A, B, and C. That's not what because deep down, even when I was in foreign countries doing that and talking to people who don't even speak my language, it's like, it's not a good feeling. You don't understand what I'm saying, but it's not a good feeling. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a dickhead. I'm not a mean person, but I have to be that because that's the role that I play. Like when I was in Cuba, on deployment, we had a guy, he escaped the prison next to Guantanamo Bay. He escaped the prison, ran down the hill, hopped the fence, and then he was just waiting there. So this they actually just passed a law on this. This is when if you did that, he would get shipped to Miami, get his papers processed. If he's good, he can stay. If he's not, he gets shipped back. So we were there. We pulled up. I was driving a Humvee at the time, and I had a lot of my buddies got out. This dude was probably maybe 150 pounds, and we all jumped out. We're probably me, Sinholtz, Davis, Rodriguez. We're all at least $170 plus, and we all jumped out with our weapons. Drawn, and in that moment, I knew I was like, okay, it's already 4 people out here with their weapons. There's no reason for it to be a 5th. So let's do something else. So I left my weapon in the vehicle, and I was like, what can I, you know what I'm saying, where can I place myself to better help escalate this, or not escalate, but better help move this situation along. You know what I'm saying? So we all started putting our weapons away, and we started just getting this guy taken care of, because like he's not trying to beat us up or anything. You know what I'm saying?
That's the problem, though.
I think
people like you don't want to do it.
Yeah,
it's the people that's gun ho.
Corey's example of his awareness to excessive force was spot on. I think that's something that's missing in these trainings. I mean, there needs to be scenarios where, just as he said, you have one suspect, and you have, let's say, 3 patrol cars get up. That's not 9 times out of 10. That's 6 police officers there. Yep. 2 patrol cars get out, or 4 police officers get out. They have their guns drawn. Right. The other 2 needs not to get out the car with the guns drawn. You only have one suspect.
Use a brain.
That has to happen in training to where they realize, ooh, okay, this is excessive. Somebody has to be at that point the moderator, the mediator, the wise one that steps in and says, this guy is not a threat to all 6 of us. I mean, we can't take 6 of us.
Come on
one
now.
Guy without a gun.
Come on now.
Who doesn't have a gun.
We're gonna whoop his ass if it comes down to it.
Come on. You have no reason to be a police officer or be a punk. I'm sorry. You need to just go ahead and get off the force. Yeah. But what's happening is we have these young punks who are using excessive force because they're not being trained according to be aware of that. I think if we can make ourselves, and I believe that that's what defunding the police has something to do with. It's not taking the money away. It's retraining. Yep. It's taking the money to retrain.
That's what I said. You can keep your money.
Well, you can keep your money. I hope that that's not the case, because in essence, the money that they're taking from the police was once community policing but funding. So they took the community police funding and got rid of the community police, gave it to the police officers, and now they're saying that was a mistake. And so they're giving that same amount of money back. So the police aren't losing anything, and they don't need training. They need to stick to the criminals, right? They need to respond to people that's holding up banks.
Fetti, you know how long it takes to become a cop?
Yeah, a couple of months.
Yeah, we talked about
13 to 16 weeks, brother.
Yeah, a couple of months.
In and out. Couple of months. Know how long it takes to go on deployment? 18 months.
Yeah, but and that's what I mean. In 2 months, 3 months, or whatever the case is, if somebody is holding up a bank and it's a standoff down on 7th and Grand, downtown LA, your ass need to be down there. right? You need to be down there with all that macho Rambo stuff.
Right.
To be down there. You don't need to be bullying little kids because they hit the fence to play basketball after school hours. Or they smoking weed. They smoking weed outside of the Korean-owned grocery store or little mini mart or whatever the case is, right? You don't need to respond to that with your AR.
Our community protectors should be employed to educate these officers on that. I mean, we're talking about having community protectors. We have that resource in our communities. Why not employ them to be that voice?
I don't want the officers.
People are scared, bro. People are scared. Black leadership is scared. People are scared because they think if I'm the one to be the one, hey man, I have a lot of people who have been in that position who have been taken out. And you have thousands of examples. The FBI wrote Martin Luther King's wife an apology letter. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's almost a guarantee. Yeah. If you step up, you might get
You're gonna be taken out.
You might get clipped.
Yeah. So I mean, so it's obvious there. You know, we want equality. We want to be, you know, treated as equals. But the threat is real. You step up to the plate. You step up to put your voice, your dedication to a change. It's always going to be threatened. How do we change it? How do we change it? I mean, somebody's listening right now. Somebody's tuning in right now and they're saying,
how do we change it?
It's going to take community, man.
Yeah,
I think it's going to take some community, man, and it's not just the Black community. It's going to take the Asian community. It's going to take the white community. It's going to take the Mexican community. It's going to take the world to be like, okay, we're sick of white supremacy, and a lot of white supremacy has to do with the funding and the Rothschilds and the central banks, and you know what I'm saying. That's where a lot of it comes from.
Yep.
That's what they paid to do.
Yep. I told T this last week. I said, you guys, you have to make police academy one of the hardest things in the nation. It needs to be harder than Navy SEALs. It needs to be harder than Marine boot camp. It needs to be one of the most. It's like, oh, you going to police academy? Oh my God, bro. Good luck.
Good luck, right?
You need to have like, oh my God, like my boy's going to police academy next week. It should be worse. It should be worse. Make it worse. Make it worse.
I'm with that, but the bottom line is that we live in a world that doesn't want to accept that it's racist. We live in a country that doesn't want to accept it as racist. However, we have all of these in your face racism. We have all of this in your face racism, right? With this issue with the police. White police officers get to patrol their communities in the suburbs and in the hills, and the communities of people that don't look like them. Get those jobs to people in the community. And then you can go home and patrol your own neighborhood and your own streets.
I think we need a little bit of personal accountability too. We need more Black men
that's true.
Step up.
It happens. It happens. You got to remember when they talk about, again, it's back to statistics. When they talk about the prison population, it's 323 million people in this country. 2.3 million of them are in prison. That's less than 1%, right? Far less than 1%. Of those 2.3 million, however, 33% of those are Blacks, which is 760,000, right? But when you look at the numbers, it's 42 million Blacks. It's only 729,000 in prison. That's 2%. So the world is not all bad, but this country is not all bad. Yeah. People aren't all bad, but this country is racist.
We got some problems, man.
Definitely, because when I was in Spain, bro, that is one place I said, if this USA stuff don't work out, if you need me, you can find me in Spain, because they show so much love. They just want people who have a good time. Two things that helped you in Spain when I was there: having darker skin than everybody else, or having tattoos. And if you have both, oh my God,
the Moors.
Oh, people had questions. And you know, one thing I was there, bro, it asked me a lot of foreigners, when they ask Americans, they want to know, hey, what's going on with your president? That's all they want to know, like, what's up with y'all?
Leadership.
So there you go. America, we know we hold the standard for the world. That's a lot of responsibility, though. So, like I said, in other countries, bro, Black people get so much love, and we get so much admiration outside of the U.S. And
You know, I
in
call
my life experience, I've seen that.
I call these segues, right? Because ultimately, you know, our dialogues progress into topics as Corey just brought up, you know, and that's where we're going. So I definitely dig it and appreciate Corey for speaking on that. Personal experiences up the yin yang, but it's beautiful because it's not all about black and white. It's not all about just us. You know, it's about everybody. You know, we talk about Spain. How beautiful it is. Somebody out there right now can only imagine. They can only go to Google and find an image of Spain. But we have a brother on the line with us right now that's been there and has been embraced by that culture. And in his own backyard, if it's 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. and you feel like, I'm thirsty, I'm going to go to the store to get something. Should I walk? Should I drive? That's a life-changing decision right there.
Yep.
Leaving your house is different. But you go to a country like Spain, 2 a.m., 2 p.m. doesn't matter.
Don't matter.
I can just walk down the street.
Love.
They recognize me as a human being, even though I'm just a tourist there. What if I live there? They still recognize you as a human being.
And that's sad. That's sad because, you know, a lot of not even our ancestors, our elders were drafted, right, against their will and taken to places against their will to fight in these wars. And they were treated better in those places than they were here at home. And the smart ones, in my opinion, the smart ones stayed. The other ones felt like, all right, I fought in a war and we won, so I can go back and be treated like a hero. Right. And we here.
I got buddies that got out and they moved to the Philippines or they moved to wherever and they haven't looked back.
Those are the smart ones. Yep. It's like, man, I was treated like dirt at home. They made me come here, deploy me out, whether I sign up or what have we. Our elders were drafted, right? And they got treated better there. So ultimately it gave them true freedom. If they stayed, they can't. Otherwise, they came back here and went right back into the racism and discrimination and mistreatment. Right. It's sad.
One thing that makes me sad is like even this morning, bro. Like I went to just go walk I have the giant hill next to my house, you know. So I went to just go do a little workout. And before I left, I was like, I need to put my ID in my pocket versus if I get hit, because I just being in New Hampshire. I'm sorry, jumping all over the place, but my training in New Hampshire. White people, they try to hit you when you walk crossing the street. So even out here in California, I'm like, I need to have my ID on me because if I get hit, at least somebody know who I am. And if I get stopped by the police, my word don't mean shit. But this ID, they're going to give me a little bit more room, you know what I'm saying, a little more wiggle room. That's black experience in America. That's when you talk about white privilege, what's white privilege? You don't have to do that. That's white privilege. You don't have to do that. I know if I leave this house without my ID, I'm rolling the dice, bro.
That's like getting asked if you need a receipt at the store.
You like fucking right. I need two receipts.
You like, I need give me a gift receipt too for my groceries.
Right.
In case I lose this one. Right. I was leaving from the airport on Monday when I got back, and when I got my receipt, I'm like, all right, I spent, money for parking or what have you, but I got my receipt, and I'm like, the reason why I'm getting the receipt in my mind is like, man, if they pull me over and try to say I did something, I can show them this receipt and show the time that I pulled out. I still got to think like that.
That's not American. That's not American.
Yeah, it's not American, but it's black. It's black American.
It's black American.
So I'll share some with the group and for the world tuning in. So my wife is 50% Panamanian, right? And her Panamanian is like a Latin Africana. You know what I mean? So being in Panama for the first time, I didn't want to come home. Like the night before, we was out there for about 11 days. The night before we came home, we laid in that hotel bed and said, let's call the airport and find out if we could stay another day, right? So we called the airport and they were like, yeah, you can stay another day, but it's going to cost you twice the amount that it cost you to just fly out. So we didn't make that decision. But what I get at is we had such a good time being cultural in Panama and enjoying the Panamanian culture and just being accepted that when we came back home, I got too comfortable, and you get your as Paul Mooney would call it, you get your check, right? So I got my check, and it just brought me back to Panama, missing the fact that you have people who look like you and people who don't. I mean, Panama is an eclectic country.
What you felt, bro, is that genuine love. That's all it was. It was genuine Yes.
Exactly. It was genuine. It was so
Genuine
comfortable
love.
to not be black, not only be Asian, not only be white, not only be European, whatever you want, wherever your culture is. It was just so comfortable to exist.
Yep.
And I love that. And if we can bring that to America, I think if everybody in America has what I believe everybody in America has come from somewhere, so we feel like in our mind we've already vacationed, but America needs a 2-week vacation. Everybody.
I think that America is like that for everybody except for black folks that haven't migrated from somewhere else to here.
What
So
you mean?
what I mean is that everyone else gets to experience the diversity of the America, right? And they come from somewhere else, so they bring that culture and all of their background and history and experiences with
And
it,
America welcomes them,
right? And they can go back and then come back and, oh yeah, I went home and did this, that, or whatever, right? Blacks are here. We don't know where we came from. We don't have nowhere to go back to.
Ooh.
So we're in prison here, right? Fortunately, some of us, and some of it is psychological because we can get a passport and we can leave and we can stay wherever we go, right? We have that right and that option, but that's still not where we're originally from.
I don't know if I'm going to Ghana. I don't know if I'm going to Nigeria. I don't know.
Right, but it's like that foster kid, right? If you know anything about foster kids, a lot of them grow up and they want to find their original parents, no matter how great their lives were. Right. They want to find their original parents because they want to know where they came from. And blacks are foster kids to the United. We are kidnapped foster kids.
Come on, bro. What? Oh my, that's the one right there.
And so that's right, psychologically, no matter how much education you have, how much money you make, you're going to forever be a kidnapped foster kid in this country.
I think
that's deep. Bring it in, Fly.
I was gonna say, man, my whole philosophy on it is pretty similar, man. But I've always been a glass half full type dude, man. So I'm always been, wanting to keep moving forward, man. Honestly, I've never tried to get a DNA test or, you know what I'm saying, or 23andMe or anything like that, man, because it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? I'm here now. You know what I'm saying? I got a family now. You know what I'm saying? I got bills now. I got situations now, man. So me thinking about, trying to figure out my past isn't really going to help me, man. Yeah, it's going to figure out maybe a little bit about why I am the way I am, but that's still not going to help me or help us as a community to move forward with issues, man. If we're still trying to figure out what land that we're originally from, or what piece of property that we think that we can attain because we have some sort of birthright to it, I think we should be building our own shit right now. You know what I'm saying? And focusing on 2021, 2022. So for
I don't rock with that. I don't rock with that 23andMe unless you're gonna tell me who was my ancestors' owner, unless you're gonna tell me what they did to them, unless you're gonna tell me how long they were there. If you don't give me, if you're gonna give me a country, nah, I'm good. Keep your country. Tell me what happened. Tell me why I don't have documentation about what happened to my.
Well, I mean, a lot of it. You got to think about it, man. In history, man, a lot of that documentation was burned down.
Then there's no point in me there's no point in me sticking a cotton ball in my mouth and figuring out what you think is what I came from.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? A lot of that documentation was burned down, man. A lot of the, you know what I'm saying? They did a lot of the history, a lot of the African history, a lot of our, you know what I'm saying, our language, the gods we pray to, our own gods, you know what I'm saying? Like Shango and Emoja and Olaron. You know what I'm saying? Like we had our own gods and our own religion, our own everything, you know what I'm saying? And we lost all that. You know what I'm saying? But, the knowledge is there. That's the difference between, you know what I'm saying, me and my grandparents, man. We got something called the internet. There ain't nothing that can stop me from doing whatever the fuck I want to do now. You know what I'm saying? I can literally go look up the entire Tesla patent and, you know what I'm saying, because Nikola Tesla, you know what I'm saying, he's a socialist himself. So he was like, fuck it. I'm gonna release a Tesla patent. Anybody who want to make Teslas, here's the information. You can do that now. And honestly, it's sad because none of the companies, except for I think one Chinese company, is trying to do it. You know what I'm saying? So
it's interesting.
Yeah, I'm just and that's a whole nother subject, man. But I'm saying it's 2020, man. I can literally I can look up the recipe to make a bomb. You know what I'm saying? I can look up my favorite rap lyrics. Or, you know what I'm saying, I can go find a black bank.
The age of information, brother. Age of information.
You know what I'm saying? So when it's all said and done, man, we need to come and make smarter choices, smarter decisions, man, about how we're gonna fucking move forward as Americans. You know, not just Africans, but as Americans.
As Americans, and embrace these cultures, you know, that we're amongst. I mean, one thing I'm gonna say, and I know we're at that tail end point where we're gonna do our roundtable. So I guess I'll kick it off with mine. But so Juneteenth was a national holiday. It wasn't a paid holiday, but it became a national holiday, and we have to embrace the fact that it was made popular, right? Some things happened leading up to it, and everybody has found their attention to it. Now, next year, 2021, I'm gonna put it out there. If I can enjoy cabbage and sausage on St. Patty's Day, if shepherd's pie or something like that, if I can enjoy tacos, carne asada, some burritos, some margaritas with tequila on Cinco de Mayo, I want everybody to have some ribs, some hot water cornbread, some greens, some watermelon.
You don't eat slave food on June.
Yeah, we do. Damn it.
No, you don't.
I'm okay with slave food.
I'm good with slave food. No. I want everything black about me that
It's your history, brother. It's your history.
No, it's not.
Eat that.
To be embraced on Juneteenth. You get your blackness on June, just like I got a sombrero on Cinco de Mayo. I want everybody out there to get your blackness on Juneteenth. I'm keeping it on. And I'm being facetious about it, but in all honesty, if I can embrace your culture on your holiday, I want this to be something moving forward. That's how we progress as a nation. We embrace our differences. We embrace our cultures, and not our races. We embrace our cultures because it's just one race. It's a human race. It's multiple. It's a multitude of cultures. So if we can retrain our minds to embrace cultures, I think we'll be in a great place. And that starts with being free in your own right, and not feeling like you're being oppressed because of the past. I mean, all six of us on this call today had an option to either join this call or not. That's freedom. We have an option to consent to our faces, our voices being put on YouTube, where once it hits the internet, it's gone. Yeah. That's an option. You can say yes, you can say no. We're all parents. We had an option, right? For most of us, hopefully all of us, but we had an option to participate, you know, in the conception part of it. So what I leave you with is be free in your own right first, responsibly. And I think that'll take us a little further than where we are as baby steps. But, you know, we have a long way to go, but I think we take baby steps, even a sloth across the street, if we leave it alone. Brother Compton, give us your thoughts.
I'm in there, man. I appreciate all you fellas tonight, man. You know, y'all some of the smartest dudes I know, man, and it's a blessing to actually be on the phone call with y'all. You know, it's unfortunate that we gotta keep talking about issues that's been spoke of, as Fetti said, man, for long beyond our times, and it probably gone for a long time more. You know, but we gotta keep pushing. I'm never gonna stop speaking. You know, everybody call me the bulldog or, you know, the aggressive one, but you know that's my approach to it, and that's how I take it. You know, because I feel like, man, I always want to be heard first. You know what I'm saying? And I want to make sure that I get my point across before everything is all over. And, you know, life is certainly uncertain these days. So make sure, man, that you're on the right side of history, man, with everything that you do, because with it being uncertain, you know, we never know our time. You know, I can be right here with y'all on this call today and gone tomorrow. Yeah. You know, and that's an unfortunate fact in the world that we live in today. You know, but the reality is I can say that I came on and I said exactly what I wanted to say, and that the world needs to change, and they don't need to change because everything that's going on right now, they need to change because the shit is right. Amen. What happened to us what happened to us doing what's right? You know, you ever wanted to be part of something, man, great. It starts right now, man. It starts with this moment, with this second, with this time right now. And if by force, we got to do it, and then you just see me and Fetti walking down the street, then y'all made a mistake and y'all took too much goddamn time. I'm sorry to say it. So I got.
Now, so I think Pastor Warren might have stepped away. So I want to bring Brother Corey in. Corey, give us your thoughts. Give us your closing thoughts.
Closing, like I said, just like follow what T said, man. I thank you guys. I definitely learned something tonight. I didn't know for my 36 I got coming.
6 million.
So, you know what I'm saying? I'm waiting. I'm gonna keep my eye on my. I'm gonna keep my eye on my account. You know what I'm saying? But and out there to any police officers or anybody in law enforcement that are running into this, I don't have anything negative to say. All I have to say is just something I was told. Just take your training seriously. Understand you're as serious you take your training is as serious you take your life. So take the time and do the right thing. And to the Black community, like I said, don't worry about Trump. Let's keep doing our Juneteenth thing. Let's make it bigger and bigger. And then one of the cool things I just want to say about at a time like this is Obama was one of the first people to really use social media, you know, with the general public. So we've seen the decent, PC, good way to use it. And then we have Trump, who is the polar opposite of that. So, you know, the next president, if you're watching this, you have to learn how to have a balance between Obama and Trump on your social media platform, because it seems like that's becoming more of a divisive thing these days. And the last thing I just want to say, man, I just hope that the older generation is proud of us younger generation, the way we mobilizing. And like I said, I'm only 28. I got a lot more living to do. But like I said, I just hope that my OGs and people that are older than me know that we're going to get out there and vote. We're going to make a difference. And I just hope that you're proud of the way we handle it. And I thank you guys.
And salute, my brother. Salute. Brother Sly, you know, we got to end it with Dr. Five. So we bring Brother Sly in. Give us your closing thoughts.
Yeah, man. You know, I'm still ugly, man. And I'm going to be ugly on the show, man, every time you call me, bro. So, you know. But yeah, man, just to, you know me, man, I'm a progressive person, bro. I'm a futurist. So, as long as I get that Anchorman call, man, from that seashell, bro, I'm gonna show up. and I mean, outside of that, man, as far as just closing notes, man, on the show itself, man, Black people, I think we just need to come together and just have a better plan, man. And so far, man, a lot of the plan is being pushed through music. You know what I'm saying? As long as we can acknowledge that and then hopefully try to do better. But the issue is we keep letting the record labels dictate what we think is popular. You know what I'm saying? When it's really not, doesn't have to be necessarily the jazz or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of these rappers or a lot of these, you know what I'm saying, musicians that are influencing the youth are placed there. You know what I'm saying? They didn't really earn it. So I think us as a community, especially this being a music station, and you know that's African ran. I think we need to address a lot of the elephants in the room. And for me, man, it's been a lot of it has to do with music, and a lot of it has to do with, you know, everything else is going on, you know, the policing and all that other stuff too. But the main thing for me, man, it's the mind control. How are we controlling our kids? How are we pushing the next generation correctly? Are we pushing the next generation correctly? And I think a lot of it, that should be the main focus, man, is that us as a community, on top of ending racism and that and the other end. But when it's all said and done, like the homie Corey said, man, there was umpteen killings in Chicago on Father's Day, you know what I'm saying, not too long ago, man. And we can't tell the world to do better if we can't do better.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I mean, that's a conversation Black people need to have on it. It's a red pill, so, I mean, we'll see if it happens or not. But, yeah, that's my final thoughts.
Hey, I 100%. And I'm going to tell you, your mama told me you're not ugly, okay? Dr. Five.
Now, it was a beautiful conversation, man. I always enjoy having these types of discussion with my brothers, man. So I appreciate you guys. You know, just as we all, like he said, we have to stick together, and we got to get rid of the fears. We have to believe in ourselves. If other people are jumping on we made protesting cool, right?
Amen.
We made standing up for our rights so cool that we no longer stand up for our rights. It's more everybody else standing up for our rights. And so if we were able to do that, we should be able to band together, stand up for our rights together. Not only just stand up for our rights, but go and take our rights. Because if they willing to stand for us and we not even showing up to the protest, I think if we went in there and started slapping people and taking our rights back, they participate in that too. And so that's where I am. We got to unify, get our act together. There's no way people are defending our rights and our livelihood and we killing each other. That's a mute point. And so we need to stand up, love, respect, value one another, and then go and take our rights, because that's the only way that we're going to make progress. And let's stop talking about it. Let's be about it. Let's do about it. Do better.
5 out. Soundstyle Radio, we are one. We'll be here. We'll be back. Definitely 100% we'll be back.
Yeah.
Hopefully enjoyed the show. As Spec 5 says, you know, and I'll put it out there. If you can't get out, say something. If you've been saying something, might be time to do something. All right, but whatever it is that you're about, just be about it. All right, we'll see y'all next time. One love. Peace.